Hey there. Good morning. I think we've got the mic working properly today. All right, that's a start. That's an early win. My name is Jeff Fritz. It is August 4th, 2018. Welcome back to my live stream. I call it Fritz and Friends because we're going to write a little bit of code together today. Hey McNerdius, what's up? Joker CRTV, hello. And Orgbrat, good morning. I'm wearing my black on black Microsoft hat today. Just feels right because we're going to be doing a little bit of refactoring. Audio is perfect according to Cryptrix. Well, if I don't say so myself, thank you very much. I'm feeling fine. I hope you are too. All right. So, as always, yesterday after we finished our stream together, I exported the audio, sent it over to not just the audio, but the video too. Sent it over to YouTube, and I got a copyright claim against me by Flo Rida. I first thought it said Florida, and they just put a hyphen in there because the line wrapped. No, it's Flo Rida. Okay, fine. And they claimed that the first 30 seconds that after I did that transition, just like I did now, I used Flo Rida's music. I don't even know who Flo Rida is. I certainly don't use his rap music. And if you look at the video from yesterday, it was silent. So apparently Flo Rida has a copyright on silence. So I'm going to be talking the entire time today because evidently YouTube thinks that folks have a copyright on silence. You can quote me on that. All right. That didn't play. There it goes. Thank you. And McNerdius is saying, I've seen so many copyright slams this week, it is bizarre. Yes, it is a little bit bizarre. I didn't hear the music from in yesterday's show. That's right, there wasn't any. Hey, thank you, Visual Studio, for the host. I appreciate everybody over there on the Visual Studio channel watching us. Keep an eye on that Visual Studio channel. We're building it out slowly. We added a bunch of panels there yesterday, some links for you to click through. Learn more about Visual Studio if you want to learn more about the tool. But it's growing. It's growing. The Visual Studio presence is happening. YouTube and Vimeo. Yes. So there's definitely a thing happening over there. But I have, and I always credit this at the beginning of every show. I do have an appropriate license from our friend Carl Franklin to play some music to code by in the background here. And today I'm going to let's play Indigo. This is some music to code by. It's designed to get you in the groove. Very cool music. Get you in the flow. Get you hyper-focused on whatever task it is you might be working on. mtcb.pwop.com. You can get your hands on that music. Or download the app for your phone. Music to flow by. Wow, that's a little bit loud today. Let's back off that music a little bit there, right? Because I'd like it in the background, not the foreground. Listen to some music in music comp from Assembly TV. Yeah. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. That's not too bad. Maybe back this off just a smidge. All right. Desert Griffin says YouTube is no longer a platform for content creators. I'm starting to agree with you. It's slowly transforming into a network where they want high-profile networks to pay the bills. Yes. So many content strikes on the small guys. Absolutely. So there's definitely a feeling on YouTube that their content, their platform is becoming more and more appropriate for big television networks to put clips of their content, so it becomes effectively a slimmed down version of all of their content. All right. I wanted to go over and look at the pull request that our friend Ashley had put together. So let's head over to our code. There's Visual Studio. And is Moz still here? Moz, you still here? Did she leave? Moz? There's Moz. Don't forget the Rainbow Beard Challenge right here. We're at 3086 of 5,000 followers. We get to 5,000 followers by October 20th, and we're gonna be lighting this up, making it a bunch of fun colors over here for the week of Halloween. So tell your friends, tell your families, tell your pets, go sign up on Twitch, throw me a follow, and we'll get even closer to that Rainbow Beard Challenge. All right, I'm gonna go over to GitHub because I had GitHub open. Nightbot, we're gonna do a Nightbot poll a little bit later today. There we go. And we've actually, oh wow, we've got a couple more pull requests that have opened here. But the one that I want to focus on today was started by our friend Ashley Broughton. And we're gonna finish refactoring our core wiki project so that it uses data transfer objects instead of direct coupling to entity framework to save data to the database. The advantage of this is we can change the shape of our database without affecting how our website, how our user interface is presented. So, hey Zerk. Zerk? Is that somewhere between Zork, the old video game, and referenced heavily in Ready Player One, the book, not the movie, and Zerg, the nasty aliens from StarCraft? Let me know, Zerk. So I was working with JWT the other day. That's sometimes pronounced Jot, if you hear me refer to that as Jot. Do you know of a good solution to do impersonation or temporary claim swapping? Ooh. Off the top of my head, I don't. I would have to do a little bit of research, talk to some folks, but that's a really neat idea. Especially as we build Core Wiki out into a more fully fledged content management system. To be able to be an administrator and say, you know what, let's impersonate an editor or an author and see what they see when they view this site. Not sure. Ah, there we go. Slang for berserker. Cool. Okay. Well done there. So this is the project we're going to work on today. We're gonna go through this, and Erwin did some reviews here of this, but converted, Ashley, with a little bit of help it looks like, converted these 8 pages to use data transfer objects instead of directly coupled to the database. Same question with Active Directory integration. How do you suggest Active Directory impersonation in a test environment? Ooh, that's a really good one. There is a way that I remember doing that with older versions of ASP.NET, doing the impersonation, right? And to be clear, when you say impersonation, it's not just I'm this person, try to be that, but as the web application, when somebody logs in and they're working, you want to do that full integrated authentication so that it routes over, makes requests to the database while logged in on behalf of that user. Yes, standby reloading AD impersonation is built into .NET and .NET Core if you're running on Windows servers, because Active Directory, it's a Windows thing. So there are ways to get it working on Linux and Mac, but the websites, the web applications are built and designed to work primarily on Windows. Good evening from the Ukraine. Oh, good evening. Is that I'm gonna mispronounce this. Sapayan? Hey, and there's our friend CMJ Chris Jones. Good afternoon from the UK. Apologies for missing. You never have to apologize for missing a live stream. Gosh. Have managed to apply a couple suggestions from the following stream. PRs are raised. I saw that. They are in the list. I'm going to focus on this architecture pull request today when we get through this one, because this is a big one. We'll take a look at that pull request in the list here. We've got 6 of them to go through today. But I'm going to focus on this now. So Ashley made a bunch of changes here. And there's even a discussion going on around notifications and extensibility. Okay, so there's a discussion about handing things off to extensibility. That's pretty cool. What are your thoughts on what the data flow should be? Repository through the data model. Hey, thanks for the host, Dev Chatter. Into a DTO, into page model, back to DTO, data model repo. I think that's the right way to go. And separate the DTO from the page model. Let's go over and get this on the big screen here. All right. So there's a lot of pull requests, and they've all been verified. It really changing the model isn't something that we're unit testing right now. But AppVer has been executing against these and has been properly returning a check saying that all the other unit tests do still work. Joker says we're from all over the planet, from Costa Rica. Oh, well, good morning in Costa Rica. Dev Chatter brings dinosaurs to the stream. Sure, absolutely. All right, here's what I'm going to do just before I start this. Toba Nautilus, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. And I look forward to your questions, comments in the chat room. While we're early here, before I start cracking the code open on this and we really get into it, I want to bring up a topic that I started yesterday around the loyalty badges. So Twitch has a feature around loyalty badges where if you're a subscriber, if you've been subscribing for a long period of time, you'll get different icons that appear next to your name when you're in the chat room here to show off and demonstrate that you've been a long-time viewer of the stream. And I ran a poll on Twitter, and it came down. I suggested, do we want hats or do we want coffee mugs? And we'll make different colors of those to signify the different durations. And hats narrowly edged out mugs. I also had a third option in there for something else. And Smab, I believe you, and there's going to be some interesting direction to go with that. So what I'd like to do with the folks that are here in the chat room, because you folks are who are going to end up getting these badges, I'm going to run a quick poll, and I'm going to use Nightbot to do this. And I was reading through the docs here on Nightbot how to do this. So I'm going to run a new poll, and we're going to say what should the icons be? And the options are going to be hats or mugs. All right. And there you go. It's going to start the poll. So you can head over to that poll. And I think you can also vote here in the chat room. But if you click through to the straw poll website, you'll have an option here to vote. Let me know. I'm going to set a timer here for about an hour. Not even. Let's set it for half an hour. Remind me in a half an hour to check the poll results.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Good. All right. So go out there, vote, let me know, and for Tuesday, I will light up those icons for everybody. All right? Now, let's take a look at this code that Ashley and Erwin put together to start refactoring out those DTOs. Done my duty, says Cryptrix. Thanks so much. All right, so I'm going to copy this down into a separate branch, just in case there's anything that we need to refactor, we need to change, and really take a look at here. And you can see all these files that are changed. So there's a CoreWiki data project. that has some of these data objects already in there. And you see a couple of DTOs. Now, interestingly, right, article create from link. So these are the different pages. So these are really data transfer objects specific to those pages that we're moving things back and forth from. Create comments page. There were some changes in there. That's fine. The create, the delete, details, edit, history, search. The comments partial was changed a little bit, and our article row was changed because it's going to be using different formatting there. All right. Let's take a look at the code. I'm going to go back to Visual Studio here. And I'm going to scan down. Here's Core Wiki data. Right? Those DTOs are in models. Here they are. So there's an article one here. The mixed cases on DTO would drive me crazy. Yes. And I think we can fix that. Right? I think that's easy to fix, and I think that's something that we should address. I like capital D, lower T, and O. I like that Moz signs her agreement with the bot. Very nice, very nice. Good to finally catch a stream since I got home, or catch a steam. Absolutely, right? We're gonna have some fun here today, analyzing and taking a look at this. It's an acronym, should be DTO, I think. Here's the thing. If it's all caps, when we render it with JSON as an API, it's going to force it to capital D, lower T, and O. We ran into this, and our friend Shane Boyer showed us this way back when we first started on Core Wiki, I think it was. Or it might have been during the ASP Network Shop. And he was saying that if you have your ID parameter here, it'll force it to, I think he said lowercase I, capital D. If it was capital I, capital D, right? If it looked like this, it mangled that. You never got that capital I, capital D in your API output, which feels bad. So for the purposes of ensuring that we get that continuity across platforms for folks that are interacting with APIs that we may develop in the future, I like capital D, lower T, lower O, and that's the reason why I favor that. So now I'm going to turn to the chat room, and this is where I want to have a discussion with you. And I understand it's an acronym. Yeah, stream, I'm on mobile. I know, right? The number of autocorrects on mobile, autocorrect issues on mobile is astounding to me. I was on a chat with Apple support yesterday because my AirPods are less than reliable. And every time I typed AirPod, it changed it to airport. So here I am talking to Apple, and I'm referring to my AirPods, but it keeps writing into the message, airports. Yes, my airports aren't responding. Yes, I can hear the phone call on my airport. It's a problem. It's a real problem. And it makes me angry. All right already with the scream. So let me see what we say about DTOs here. I want to make sure I get your input. Is that Facure? I want to make sure I pronounce that right. Facure? Welcome from Argentina. Thanks so much for joining me from the South from South America. And Johnson, I'm sorry to say, you've earned a one-way ticket on the Bantran. Let's see. Team DTO changed my mind. Okay. So, typed names don't need to show up in JSON. Ah, good point. They don't. We can change things around on the way. Desert Griffin. Data transfer object correct. What are the main usage function? Right, so they're being transmitted, they're being passed on to the front end user interface. I can hear thunderstorm, but thunderstorm is too scared to come. McNerdius says just buy a new airport. We'll have a brand new airport code CSF, C# Fritz. You'll be able to land your 747s there. Check it out. I take it Johnson did something stupid. The rules in this chat room, very simple. We're all friends here. No racism, no sexism. Treat everybody with respect. If you do that, any hate speech, you're gone. There is zero tolerance. Can we keep politics out? If that was not I don't think that was too political, but even then, unacceptable. If you use Newtonsoft, you can use JSON property attributes to format your JSON output however you want. I prefer DTO because of the acronym also, says Rostern. Okay. I can see that. Standby reloading. I go back and forth on it. DTO is an acronym, but it often seems a bit odd to have something like student classes, capital D, capital T, capital O. Yeah. And Aaron says, I'd prefer that your properties not have DTO in them if you're talking about an article DTO. The property could still be article. I agree with that, because the property may change. We may bind to different objects. So I think Aaron is onto something there. I don't understand when you could see the class name in an API call. Won't you just see the result? Yes, the type name is not serialized. It is if you're using Swagger, if you're using OpenAPI, that type name does get serialized. I don't expect to see DTO in a property name. Yes. What about adding it to the namespace so it is not part of the serialization, says Moz. We've already got data as part of it. So I'm not I'm not sold there one way or the other. I think we've already got data in there. So I think we can avoid that one. We've already accommodated that. As long as there is consistency, it won't matter DTO or capital DTO or capital D lower TO. Yeah, I think you're right, Ancient Coder. Every C# dev is soon to become an F# dev. Oh, EJ Vision. We'll see. We'll see. Tobinautilist, thanks for having me, Jeff. You're the first person that could get me into doing some C# ASP.NET stuff as a long-term Apple user and Java EE developer. What a wonderful and peaceful community. Have a great stream and all the best. Greetings from Germany. Dankeschön, Tobinautilist. Thank you so much for joining us. And CJ Alaga, thank you so much for using your Twitch Prime subscription here. I'll match that, and we'll make sure that we get a donation over to our friends at Girl Develop It, so we can support women and underserved minorities to learn how to code just like we are. That's as political as it gets here. Yes, object-oriented versus functional, right? We'll stay technical, but absolutely. Thank you, Odokian. I appreciate that. All right. Let's do it. Let's get into our... let's get back into the code here. I think... Standby Reloading says, without DTO on the class name, the namespace alone will not indicate to a developer it is an entity. Yes. F# is not functional, it's hybrid. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Here's what we're going to do. I think you've convinced me, and we'll go all caps DTO. And we'll settle on renaming the objects like that. So we have an I think Team Capital DTO is going to win out here. All right? Yeah, Cumbar capes and R2AU like that. All right. So let's do it. And then when we use the API, we can kind of force that naming later. So we have an article create DTO that receives just a topic and content. And I will do the rename. Make sure that that gets in. And I'm going to click over here and do that as well. Okay. So, right, this is for a create. We're only ever receiving the topic and content. They're not being parsed there. Is DTO different to a struct? Some of these could be structs, certainly. Does C# have a linter to enforce the convention we decide on? Aha! So the editor config that we have up here, there are ways that you can specify some naming rules in here. ReSharper can do that. And there is, I'm trying to think, isn't there are some tools to help enforce some of that. Something like StyleCop. StyleCop has kind of been replaced with analyzers. So we could write an analyzer that helps to enforce that and give us the suggestions on it. But you're only going to see that analyzer enforced when you're in the Visual Studio Editor. Oh, Edokian, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Pushing us closer and closer to that rainbow beard. October 20, if we get there and 5,000 followers, yeah, we'll get this this soup catcher multicolored here. Also, if we do get there, I think we'll make some rainbow bearded stickers and have some giveaways for the month of November, so that folks that are in the chat room for participating, you'd be able to get a sticker sent out just for hanging out during November. And I am still looking at December as Ubuntember and doing the whole month of December in Ubuntu. It is on the roadmap. Moz is on this. Yes, editor config, it is on the roadmap for editor config to be enforced during build. I think it's a great idea. But McNerdius has a link for us from the MS guidelines. Do capitalize only the first character of acronyms with 3 or more characters, except the first word of a camel case identifier. So you're telling me about my own company's policy. I should do capital D, lower T, and O. Sugaith says, congrats for the live. I'm starting one myself. Can you tell me a little story on how you started? It was Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing after school, shooting some b-ball, and I'm blanking now on the next line. Hey, there's Rex Havoc. Good morning, Rex. Good to see you. And Dev Chatter. So, briefly, to answer, where was it? Sugath's question. I started back in November. I received a lot of declines from conferences that I wanted to speak at. And that's okay. They're allowed to choose their content. They're allowed to build their events the way that they see fit. But to a lot of folks that submit to conferences, it's kind of depressing. So I said, well, you know what? I've got plenty of content. I have a lot of fun delivering that content. So let's start a live stream. Let's start just writing code. And if people tune in, great. If folks learn, even better. And let's have fun with this. So that's how I got started. Popped in right at the Fresh Prince reference. There you go. Can't play the music to go with it. Otherwise, YouTube will get me again. Style Cop, yes. If I remember correctly, at least the existing stock comp analyzers do not enforce a fitting naming convention. Yes, official. I think the official Microsoft guideline. Let me make sure I grab that. I want to open that website right there. Yes, open the website. Team DTO. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to go lower DTO. But this is from Visual Studio 2010.
Do it!
Okay, we'll read what it says. Capitalization rules for identifiers. For acronyms. Two abbreviations are ID and OK. That are ID and OK in Pascal identifiers, they should appear as ID and OK. If used as the first word in a camel case identifier, it should appear as all lowercase. Okay. Do capitalize both letters of two-letter acronyms, except the first word of a camel case identifier, right? Do capitalize only the first letter of acronyms with 3 or more characters, only the first character. That tells me it needs to be all capital case. Just putting it out there, in my opinion, it improves readability and stuff like XML serializer versus XML serializer. But DTO tacked on the end is a different story. Yeah, I think you're right, McNerdius. Just come back to Germany, says Least Fixed Point. You'll have no problem being accepted to talk here. I'm pretty sure Flo Rida was part of the team that built the Fresh Prince theme song. No, I don't think so. Was it? I don't know. How would you use USA if it was an identifier? I wouldn't, because because you don't want to have things like that that are political or geographical like that in an identifier, because that, believe it or not, offends some people, and you don't want it in your code. And there's actually some countries that will ban the use of terms in code and will not allow that code to be run in their country. It's weird, but it's true. I've seen the documents. Sorry, but also Team DTO. The statute of limitations for guidelines is 9 years. Do a straw poll to see what the chat's consensus on the DTOs is. Fair enough. I think. Well, least fixed point. There's also questions around, right? If you say red, green, refactor. In some countries, red is good. Red is very good in some countries. Never mind that colorblind people see red, green, refactor and they think gray, refactor. All right. So we'll run another straw poll here, and this one will be, can I start a second straw poll? We still have another poll going on. Blah, blah, blah. There is another poll going on for the icons. Right, so for the loyalty icons, you can go there and vote. Can I run more than one poll? Allows you to create options. I want to remind people about it as well. We'll output the most recent poll's results. Okay. I'm going to open that poll so I have it there. So hats or mugs? We need to lock that down. So I'll do one more. Acronym. Should the acronym be DTO, not DOT? DTO or DTO? Oh, it should be poll new. There you go. So I'm going to give that just a minute or two, and then we'll figure out if we need to go back and rename all of our stuff. So please go vote, because this convention here now says do capitalize the first acronym with 3 or more characters, which tells me it should be capital and then lower. You can share that, ThinkBot. What if it's none of the above? Yeah, SQL Mr. Magoo would rather us have our capitalization be, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do... do you want me to keep going? Now cut that out, McNerdius. I tell you. All right. A DTO. All right. I've got the black on black hat. I love it. That poll is so split. Is it? Is it? I'm not gonna open it here on stream. I'm gonna move it over here and look at the results of this one. Oh, it's very split. Oh my gosh. Ooh, we've got one taking the lead. How about DT? Oh no. But I still have the one out here. What should your loyalty icons be? Do we want hats? Do we want mugs? And if I read the capitalization conventions here from Visual Studio 2010, so 8 years ago this was written, capitalize only the first letter of acronyms with 3 or more characters, except the first word of a camel case identifier. This would be the last word. So I would read this and think it needs to be capital D, lower T, lower O. DT, oh no you didn't. It's coming down to the wire here. Neck and neck. DuckTales Origins. Team R2 DTO. Oh no. The poll is very split. Get your votes in. Here it is. 25 votes. I'm seeing 56-44. There's 83 of you in the chat room, so about 60 of you still need to vote if you want to have some say in this. Which one are we going to use? I like what Brutal Swede has there about Team R2 DT0. Different style for each DTO. Now cut that out. Stool penner, I tell you. 29 votes. I'm going to give this one more minute. Give me a 1 minute timer.
Okay, your timer is set for 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute. There it is. Look at it. Get your votes in. Oh, it's catching up. Vote Team DTO for lower build times. Now, wait a sec. The Oxford Dictionary from Standby Reloading. Ooh, what do we got there? Using capital letters in the names of people, places, or related words at the beginning of a sentence, and the titles of books in abbreviations. If you're using the first letter of the abbreviated words, every letter should be a capital. So I changed to DTO, and the next day I won the lottery. You could too! Vote Team DTO for peaceful coexistence. I don't know. We're... Mr. Byte TV. Hey, Mr. Byte. DT Olay. And that's the time. And I'm seeing all caps. That's what we're going to go. Is this like the async suffix agreement? And now people have come around to removing it. So we're going to go with all caps. I still have this out there as well if people still want to vote. The loyalty icons that we'll have here on stream. Do you want mugs? Do you want hats? What do you think? Oh dear Lord, that one is a dead heat as well. Are you kidding me? Seriously, this one is a dead heat. Hats and mugs. Wow. Team Capitals for the cup. Get your votes in on that one. Oh my goodness. That's unreal that it's that close. We'll come back to that. Hats on mugs. A mug with a hat on it. I like this mug. Moz has one of these. So does, where is he? Is it Standby Reloading has one? So. Hugs for everyone. No. Alright. Let's go. Yes hates wearing mugs. Hats for everyone. Alright. Let's go back to the code. We're going to go with all caps DTO. Team mug hat. I have a lot of events that I'm going to be at in the fall. I will have stickers, I will have cards. I'm not sure if I'll have mugs, but I'm definitely going to have swag to share. Look at that. Moz loves her mug. See that? Because it works on my machine. Ship it. Even dev chatter have Fritz commands that bring hats. All right. So create from link DTO. Let's see where this is used so we can understand how the DTO is being used in our application. So in the create article from link page, because this is the create article from link. Wait a sec. I'm sorry. Wrong one. Start here. Article create DTO has two references in the create page. The article is a article create DTO. So when you do a get, we will create an article create DTO. And if there is a topic that was requested, we'll fill that in and make that available. So that makes sense. It's separating from that. And I believe it is also used. So it's being bound. So we're model binding into the article. And we're using that to load up a new article object. Right? Which is private object down. Where is it? Here in the data. This is the entity framework object that it's creating. Now, we can talk through what needs to... Hey. Rename. There we go. Right, this is now still in the create, but what's being received is an article DTO, article create DTO. It's being copied into an article object and then persisting out to the database. Where is it? Looking. Article repo is topic available, return page. Article there, create article and history right there. So, I've got to open that. Yes. Hi there, Mr. Fritz. Hey, Iota. Good evening? It's probably evening where you are. Thanks so much for joining us. That's our friend Not One Iota, who hangs out with us on the PH16 community. Synaptic code. I was personally for DTO, but in my opinion, consistency is far more important. Thank you. Least fix points. Yeah. How many mugs do I have? I've only got like 2 or 3, but I prefer this one. Should I buy that mug and bring it to my internship? Standby reloading. I like that answer. No mugs in the knowledge base. We've got to fix the knowledge base. Shirt with weeks of programming can save hours of planning. Mid-afternoon, I stayed up so late for Dead by Dawn that I'm practically running on Eastern time now, so I'll take a good morning. Alrighty, good morning. Hey, Tazarnal. Alright. So my timer went off. That was a half an hour. And by a nose, it looks like we're going to do mugs for our loyalty icons here. So I think that's the way we're going to go, is mugs. I think that's kind of cool. Everybody drinks coffee or some flavored hot beverage. So I do have a mug icon that I will color, and maybe we'll make white icons for the folks that first join, and different colors as you proceed through. I think it'll be really cool. McMug and Scrubber Ducky, a glass with a blue vase on the table. Really? Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that one. The description was pretty good. I understand absolutely nothing happened here, but you get my seal of approval for using straw poll. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, moving on. Back to the code. So the DTO is being sent down to the view. It's being received, and we're loading the content off of that. This article create DTO. Let's close everything else. So we're receiving the topic, we're receiving the content back, and we're copying it into our appropriate database object for saving this information. And then we actually, down here, create the article. We save it. Now, if we get closer to using Jimmy Bogard's CQRS Mediator framework, this stuff will completely go away and get moved into another object. But the other thing that I question in looking at Ashley's implementation here, I think this doesn't decouple us enough from our entity framework, because I'm still using this entity framework object. I'm still using, right, this entity, and it's not even a good entity, right? But it's exactly the object that I'm committing to the database. Definitive answer from searching github.net. They use DTO in actual code, but capital DTO in samples. Naming is easy. Oh, SQL Mr. Magoo. Yeah, tell me about it. No consistency there. Well, I think we're going to need to reach out to Damien and... No, I know who to reach out to. David Fowler. That kind of thing would cheese him off, and we can really drive it home by putting it in front of Barry Doran's Blow Dart on Twitter. What is the difference between Mediator or AutoMapper, asks Ancient Coder. That's a good question. So Mediator and AutoMapper are two different frameworks, both started and maintained by our friend Jimmy Bogard. And Jimmy joined us about 2 weeks ago for our architecture workshop. You can find that video over on the YouTube channel. AutoMapper allows you to map properties of two objects back and forth to each other. So, for example, we have this article object that's being used with Entity Framework to save content into the database. This is literally our article record that gets persisted to our data storage. Our data transfer object is a very simple C# POCO, right? It's a plain old C# object that receives these two properties and passes it along. AutoMapper would allow us to connect these properties to this object, automatically copying in those two values. Mediator is, on the other hand, a framework that allows us to receive and work with very tight objects that we can set up as commands or queries to send off to a queue that will process those commands or evaluate those queries and return a value that we can process and put on our user interface. So you can check that out. You can learn more about Mediator and see Jimmy explain it. The audio isn't too great. We had a little bit of a problem with Jimmy's network connectivity, but you can check that out over on YouTube. And Jimmy's interested in coming back and helping us when we start doing some of the mediator work on this project. Make it a David transfer object. I see what you did there, standby reloading. I don't have a lurk command, but I get it, Iota. Thanks so much. Why would you use hash set collection for comments property instead of, say, list? That's a good question there. You know what? I don't have a preference. For the purposes of this, I don't have a preference. I would have used a list. Anybody have an opinion on that one? So to finish, the DTO is okay, in my opinion, for basically handing back and forth the object from the user interface. I'm okay with that. I think there's a little bit more we can do here to finish removing entity framework from this object. I'm going to move on to our next DTO. Article create from link DTO, and we're going to... I didn't want to do that. I shouldn't have done that. I need to do a refactor so I catch it in all the places it's referenced. And I'm also going to go over here, do an F2, do that. Let me make sure I get Karnak running so you can see my keystrokes. If you're not overloaded, get lash, not use hash set. Get hash, yes. I'd say list is the default, and you need a compelling reason to use a hash set instead. Yeah. List for smaller collections and large collections if you do not need random access. Yeah. It was not generated by entity framework. No. No. So, article create from link DTO. This is referenced in two places. Over here in the create from link page. So if somebody references a link that a page doesn't exist yet, this gets fired up. And there's the property that's being bound out to the user interface, the article create from link. So we'll get links to create, article helpers get articles to create. Good. And article equals new article create link from DTO, and it just returns a slug that we're going to paint on the page. So literally, it's just that round trip from the point that we generate the web page, present it to the browser, send it back to the web server for processing. That round trip is where we're using these DTOs. What is the difference between hash set and a list? Hash set maintains a hash. That's a good question. Let's go docs, Microsoft.com, and let's look up I want .net. Hash set. This feels like one of those questions you'd get on an interview. And of course, it doesn't show hash set. Sorted collection types. It's... Come on. I mean, I literally searched for the type, and it didn't bring this up in the first page of results. Okay. Represents a set of values. Duh. HashSet class provides high-performance set operations. A set is a collection, contains no duplicate elements, and whose elements are in no particular order. Implements the iRead-only collection interface, starting with .NET Framework 4.6. In previous versions, HashSet did not implement. HashSet's object capacity automatically increases. HashSet class is based on the model of mathematical sets, provides high-performance set operations. Hash set collection is not sorted and cannot contain duplicate elements. So that makes it a little bit more like a dictionary as well. If order or element duplication is more important, then use list with the sort. So there you go. Probably better to use Google than the site search. Yeah. .NET Pearls. I love that we spent the first half of the stream arguing over a case of two characters. Nah, we didn't argue over it. But we're going somewhere. Hash. Program contains a source array that contains several duplicated strings. It eliminates duplicated strings in the array. There you go. So you have no duplicates, which is probably true in what we want for comments. We don't want duplicated comments. All right. Moving on. So I'm okay with this, how that DTO is being used here. Let's look at article delete DTO, and I'm going to do the same rename here, and I'll rename here. There we go. Okay, and this is used in two places, both in the delete page when it's presenting, right? So we're going to return that article that we're going to present on page, and it's also a property right there. So we're loading it up, we're fetching it and presenting it. I love, out of curiosity, any real difference in software engineering and comp sci degree for employability, considering the switch? Asks Nuggety Nana. So that's, let me answer that real quick. What I would suggest to you is computer science is going to be focused more on the low level. You're going to get C++, you're going to get C programming in there. You're going to get a little input into assembly. And you're going to talk about how computers work, the low level stuff around bits and bytes, how processors work, versus, and that's something that a game company, that a game studio would want you to know. That's something that a large software company like Oracle or Microsoft would want you to know, because they want you to program those operating systems, those low-level things. However, software engineering is going to be focused more on building applications, building business important applications that folks use, that you don't need to necessarily know all of that low-level stuff and focus on it. You'll still learn algorithms, but it's just a different approach. An organization, an insurance company that has their own software development department to manage their custom applications for managing all the various things that go on in their insurance company doesn't care if you know C or C++. They want their applications built as quickly as possible so they can turn around and run those on their call floors or for their actuarials, so that they can process and manage their new marketing campaigns, their new sales techniques, and handle that appropriately. The computer science of it, the performance of it, is less of a concern in those types of organizations. It is a concern, but it's not as much of a concern. So, two different things that may be going on there. Yoshi says, that's me, IT in an insurance company. Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you for the comment there, Yoshi. That's exactly the types of things that you might see out there. In Germany, it's quite different, but in the end, it does not matter because both might not really teach you good coding. That's not cool. Aaron says, I have an MIS degree, more business focused, and have not had any issues regarding employability, but I guess that depends on what you do. My degree is a Bachelor of Science in Management Sciences and Information Systems from a business school, from Pennsylvania State University. I work for somebody that went to a community college and has a degree in computer science. So it's more about what you do with your degree and less about the fact that you have the degree, great. What you do with it, what are the things that you've applied that degree to learn? and you've made yourself valuable around. That's what's going to get you a great job. Do they still run that commercial? Yes, they do. My colleague has a geography degree. There you go. Okay, I'm going to keep going here on this. So I'm pretty happy with how delete DTO works. Article details DTO. Now this looks like the one that we're going to use to actually present the details page, right? This is the page that most of our wiki shows, right? When you navigate to a page, this is what's actually loading. So we have our articles DTO article. Article details DTO, I'm sorry. And it's being loaded, where is it? Here. Okay. I'm okay with that. Part of me feels like these types of things, let's move them out into a separate method. So, Chris Jones is at an insurance company as well. University courses are focused on theory and science. More about practical things, but for both you have to invest your own time to become a good programmer. Yeah, and spending time talking to other developers, whether it's watching me code, other folks write code, going to a user group, spending time talking to developers there, watching presentations from other developers. That little bit of time investment, reading folks' blogs, will advance your career tremendously. Okay? Learning in this field does not stop when you get that piece of paper and you depart school. You must always be learning. I've learned how to learn quickly. So that helps me out a little bit for what I do. So best of luck to you, Nuggety Nana. Let us know how your job search goes. Let us know how your school goes there. Oh, look at that. Moz, no degree, will be starting a consulting job later this month. Not even a high school diploma. And right, that just goes to prove it's what you can do and, what you've accomplished, right? And writing code and showing some of the open source code that you've been able to build really goes a long way. School provides the fundamentals in programming to be able to learn. Yes. In the time they've allowed me to be a dev, I picked up plenty of coding knowledge, specifically SQL. Fantastic. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm okay with how this works. That's pretty cool. Article edit DTO. This looks like we're doing the same thing here. I'm going to do my naming refactor here. And I'll also rename this file. I'm using F2 to rename the files. And if I check the references, this is in one place. It's here on my edit page, article DTO, and article DTO when it fetches it. And then when the post comes back, it's taking a look at, where is it? Existing article. Okay, so it loads that. And here's where it's pulling the updates out of our DTO and passing it in. So that's kind of cool. I'm all right with that as well. Article history DTO. Oh, thank you for the follow, Nuggety Nana. I appreciate that. Great to have you join us. So I'm thinking we're going to see the same thing the rest of the way here on these objects. And I appreciate how article history details are broken out as a separate object here. All right. There we go. Save all. And I'm seeing the same pattern here. 3 references, 2 references. Article summary. And this is being used on the search results. Okay, that's cool. Awesome. Find a project related to your hobbies and go contribute or write something related to it. Absolutely. And that's kind of why I started on this core wiki project. I think this is something simple that all of us can relate to. It's very basic in scope right now, but we can take copies of it and make it something that's appropriate for whatever it is. And we can customize it and share those changes. All right, the last one here is comment DTO. And this has 5 references. It's referenced as a collection in the article DTO. It's referenced... Can I make this bigger? No, I can't. Rats. I can pop it out as a window. There we go. And it's behind my head now. It's referenced in article details. It's referenced in the create comments object where we get a DTO received from there. The list of comments. Cool. And in the details, we have comment DTOs coming back. All right, that's pretty cool. Is that Bokyo or Bokyo? Let me know. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Gareth Hubble? Gareth Hubble? Gareth Hubble? No, Hubble, it would be Hubble, wouldn't it? Gareth Hubble. And it's Bokyo. Fantastic. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you here in our chat room. And that meter's going to keep growing here. 3091. We get to 5,000, and I'm dyeing my beard rainbow in October. All right, we still got almost 3 months till we get there. C# and Sitecore. Hey, terrific. Hate it though. Why is that? Why don't you like Sitecore? I'm pretty happy with how this works. I'm going to run the application to see how this goes. It is pronounced like the Hubble telescope. Okay. That's interesting, Gareth. Thank you for sharing that. Moving to Golang and cloud. Now, why are you choosing Golang, if I may ask? That's an interesting choice to change from a managed language like C# to Go, which is all compiled. I'm just curious. Fun and easy. Okay. If that makes you happy, terrific. So my edit page, my home page looks good. My edit, I do not have permissions to edit. That's fine. My user admin page, I shouldn't be able to get in here. We need to put a permission on this. My latest changes page isn't showing anything. It's not even showing the home page. That feels weird. Let me log in. Let me create a page. Hello, the man at jeffreyfritz.com. Thank you. Create a new article. Second page. This is my second page, and we're going to make mugs. Narf. Okay, there's second page. If I go to latest changes still isn't showing me anything. There's a PR out there for that now. There's a PR out there for what? Allow logged in user to see what their current role is. Make user admin only available to administrators. There we go, from CM Chris Jones. Fantastic. Pagination links work correctly, blah, blah, blah. All right, these are going to be some pretty cool ones to implement, and I think we need to get to them. But I think, based on what I'm seeing here, I think somewhere our latest changes got broken. Let's take a quick look at this. See if we can fix latest changes real quick. I'm actually going to go over to my command window here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my core wiki project, and I'm going to use the .NET watch command. This command will watch all of my C# code, and yeah, I get it. And as I update and save changes to my C# code, it'll restart the web server. I don't know why it's saying permissions denied on that. Let me answer some questions here. Any opinions on Salesforce? My friend was hired and thrown into it. Hates it. Salesforce is great because is great for folks who really want to focus on their customer management systems. And they just need to do that business programming, and they don't really care about having software installed and managing all the goo around that. So it's nice for those folks. And they do a good job with that. I think Salesforce, because they've pretty much developed their own language and their own way to do things, you end up with folks that are trained only to build things for Salesforce, and it's hard to see how that relates to other applications. I don't think the skill set is very transferable away from there, kind of like SharePoint developers. Well, SharePoint is now very Node.js. So, and with a bit of SharePoint you can use JavaScript, but SharePoint is a little bit better in that you can write some standard JavaScript to work with SharePoint. SAP, yes, SAP is the same way. When you learn these very application-oriented programming software development kits, you almost get into a cult of this is how I write code, and your exposure to other techniques and other things that aren't accessible to you from those applications is minimal. So it's a great application. You can do great stuff with it, but I would encourage folks to also keep up a little bit of a skill set that's outside of Salesforce, outside of SharePoint, so that you can learn and figure out when you need to think outside of the box, when you need to break out of that silo that SharePoint or Salesforce put you in. You know how to get outside and what you can work with. I've done Sitecore and SharePoint. I like CoreWiki more. Here. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Moz. Look at that, Moz. Bravo. I like it. All right. Yeah, I'll refresh and we'll work on the page here. Where was I? I need another browser open. All right. Fine. Not that one. Not that one either. Is it 8081? Is that what I'm thinking? No. This looks like it hasn't even started yet for some reason. There it goes. There we go. All right. So the problem was on latest changes. I do have that second page out there. There it is. But when I look at latest changes, nothing appears. So let's go back over to the site and let's make sure that that's working properly before I merge these changes. COBOL's only worse. Oh, no. Without meaning to sound ageist, but he's going there. They're going there. Cumbar capes. Most of the Salesforce and SAP developers I've seen are so ingrained into the ecosystem and haven't been using it for years. Very weird to see younger Salesforce SAP devs. I think there's a certain amount of folks they don't want to learn as much, right? There comes a point where they don't want to spend so much time learning. They just want to do their job, get home, hang out with their kids, take their kids to soccer practice, go to the bar after work, that kind of thing, and hang out. But there are folks that do want to be craftsmen, that do want to do, craftsman-like things. And that's okay. Both of those are okay. So we had consolidated down. So we don't have a latest changes. Latest changes is actually routing into search now. And right now it's doing a search. And our search result, if the query goes in and there's nothing to it, I think it doesn't return anything. Just a different approach, absolutely. Thank you, SAP, for forcing my .NET project to use Oracle DB. I'm so sorry. because Oracle has given .NET developers a little bit of a problem over the past year. Dark matter developers. Yes. Scott Ha does refer to them as dark matter developers. VB6 developer, you can make good money. It's slimming down, so there aren't as many out there. But yeah, when they're in demand, they can charge big bucks because there are so few. Okay, so what I'm concerned about here is my article search engine. I don't think when it receives the double quotes, I don't think it's actually returning anything. And I'm going to have to put a debug in here is what I'm thinking. Instead of letting this run. So what I'm going to do is cancel that. And I'm going to go back over to my search page, and I'm going to, it's this bit right here. Is null or, it's not actually doing this search when I'm going on to, latest changes. I think SAP is fine with MS SQL now. I'm a CS student right here at UCF in Orlando. Would Ignite be a good event for me to attend? I love the .NET framework. Will I be attending Ignite? Yes, I will be at Ignite. I'm giving one session on upgrading from .NET Framework to .NET Core. I'm in talks to give a lab, to give a hands-on workshop, instructor-led lab, whatever you want to call it. And what we're working on is we want to give that hands-on workshop and stream it live from Ignite. Me in the front of the room, answering questions from folks in the room, able to show you folks, anybody who's tuned in. We're working on that, no guarantees yet, but that's in discussions. We had a great experience at Build, teaching a workshop, and we thought, heck, we should stream this. Like the MCT type workshops. A little bit like that, yep. But Zerk, to your point of, is Ignite good for a student? What is it that you want? What is it that you're looking to learn? Ignite's very expensive. Let's start there. The tickets are expensive. I don't think they're sold out. I know I have a bunch of friends at the various .NET user groups in the Orlando area. It might make sense for me to reach out to the Orlando.NET folks and see if I can jump in for a user group presentation. We're finally going through the process of rewriting some of our old Power Builder apps. Some of the people who wrote that software have kept up, and others definitely have not. Yes. Even bigger team, you'll find someone who's never heard of Link before. Yes. But to your point, Zerk, and they make a very good point here. Super Tech Boy makes this point. The sessions will be available in recording after Ignite. The workshops, the labs, the hands-on learning experiences, those are not available after. But all of the presentations, all of the breakout sessions will be available afterwards. And the main reason is networking, to be able to speak to the Microsoft folks. But I like to make myself available here. You're actually getting more interaction from me here than the lines that you might see at Ignite. There's 30,000 people at Ignite. It's big. I've noticed you're using query syntax. Normally I tend to use link through method syntax. Do you have a quick way of figuring out which would be the best in a given situation? Gareth, it doesn't matter. Because the compiler makes it go away. It all turns into the same code. If you do stream your lab, will a video on demand be available? I hope so. That would be my goal. That's the way I do things here. So I'm right there with you. Hey, C# and ASP.NET is the best, says NAR003. I like it too. I find the query syntax more pleasing to the eye, but it's not kept up with what Link can do these days. I think that's fair. I was on conferences where I watched most sessions afterwards online. During, I'd rather talk to other people. Agreed. The stage rush. Yes, there's a stage rush. Folks rush the stage and they're like, hey, I want to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. So right there's the problem. The is null or white space, it's not actually doing the query there. I'm going to comment this out so that it will always do the search. Ta-ta. And let's see. Do I do AMA type panels? I'm doing one right now. I do at the Dev Intersection conference, and you'll see an advertisement pop up there in the lower right. I've been hosting panels there where I do host themed discussions with several of the speakers. Usually turns into a lot of fun, questions from the audience, that type of deal. But there we go. Now latest changes works. And if I do a search without passing in anything, it actually kind of, what is nwebsec? It gets a little messy. Now, why did that fail? Why did that fail? But this did not. But we do not do AMA type panels typically at Ignite. Is there a mosh pit though? Brutal Swede. The first Ignite 3 years ago now in Chicago. Last year was in Orlando. The year before that was in Atlanta. The year before that was in Chicago. They always have some sort of an attendee party. And in Orlando, the attendee party is typically, last year it was at Universal Studios. They rent out the park from about 5 p.m. through till close, till like midnight. And the attendees have the park to themselves. Both parks, Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. But at the first one in Chicago, there is no Universal Studios. So for the attendee party, they opened up the keynote room. They were serving drinks, there were hors d'oeuvres, all kinds of food trucks were brought in. And Fallout Boy performed. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Fallout Boy. And before it was Ignite at TechEd 2010, TechEd 2013 in New Orleans. New Orleans, the party was at the Superdome, and the performer was Tina Turner, which was like, you kidding? The attendee party for Build 2018 was fun. You know what? I didn't make it to the attendee party. You went to the Orlando one. The Orlando one is pretty cool. It's pretty cool because I'm there without my family. Don't have the kids with me, so I can spend time relaxing and doing hanging out with my adult friends and don't have to worry about the kids. Especially if you like Harry Potter. Let me tell you how much fun a butterbeer is with a shot of Fireball. Woo! Get that cinnamon whiskey in there. That's a party. All right, so why is the search not working here? When I click search, it's doing the exact same thing. The query is null. Oh, the query is null. The query shouldn't be null. It should be the empty string. Page number is 1, results per page 10. Got loose. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So that kind of explains it's returning null for that query versus okay. not sure I want to say that follower. I'm going to hold my judgment. Yeah, Ignite is about to try to get your employee to pay for it, yeah. Getting fed up with everything in the UK being London-based. A list of .NET meetups. So our friend Benjamin Howarth, who was on with us on Thursday, he was at a... There you go, the query is double quotes. He was at a... he's been at several different meetups. If you check his stuff, there are a bunch of them. In and around, not just London, but in the areas around. Shoot, I can't remember. He mentioned a couple of them during his time talking with us. Super Tech Boy, that is an awesome point. Any company sending a group of folks rent a condo or do an Airbnb? Yes. So when I went to Tech Ed 2012 in Orlando, the company that I went with rented a house, a vacation house outside of town. Got a couple of vans, and rented a couple of not vans but SUVs, and bought some food to have barbecue in the evening, and went back and forth from Orlando for the event. It was great. Worked out very nice, and it almost became a retreat at that point. Good team bonding experience. So definitely something to consider. Meetup.com works. Yep. Watch the bits you missed on the VOD. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, we're 8 followers from 3,100. Closing in, and I'm fearing for my facial hair here. Let's do this. I'm going to not just pass query here, but I'm going to do double quote. So the double quote operator in C# says, if this value is null, use this instead. And I think that'll solve our problem here. Maddie Thank you, Maddie, for the follow. Do I donate all the subs bits? Yes, I'm matching them. I'm going to be donating them. I have we're setting up a big check to go out here in September, and absolutely. So part of that comes from Super Tech Boy. Part of that comes from this is a little bit of my job. I work for Microsoft. Helping folks in our community this is what I do for a living. So I don't want to double charge you. I don't want to, think you have to pay for me to teach you. Not the case. I'm a strong believer that learning is free. There's times where it makes sense to pay to get access for things. But I want to reach as many folks as possible. I want to make it as easy for you to learn about .NET, about Visual Studio, about Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio for Mac, about Azure. And if you choose to support, if you want to cheer, if you want to use a subscription and get some of those other little trinkets and things, that's fantastic. I'm not going to discourage you. You can show your support and show that you've been here for a while. That's terrific. But I'm going to make sure that we turn that into something that helps grow our community. We have a fragile technical community. When there's people who are racist, ageist, sexist, that doesn't help any of us. It makes me sad when I see that women are discouraged from participating in some technical events or jobs. That's terrible. That should never happen. I want to make sure that women feel comfortable coming and asking questions here on the stream. That folks that aren't like me, that are a different race, have a different faith, from a different continent. We've had some folks from Africa join us. Fantastic. Join us. I'm more than happy to welcome you. Folks in the chat room are always happy to answer questions and collaborate. Let's see if my latest change works here. Did I hit a breakpoint? I did. I hit my breakpoint. Let me pause that. So I want to make sure everybody's welcome. I want to make sure that we grow our community here and that everybody's happy. There we go. Latest changes is working. It's not sorted in the order I wanted. Maybe we can fix that a little bit. Let me go back and just touch on some of the questions here. I'll watch the bits. Hey, would you suggest Battle Axiom? Love the nickname. Hey, would you suggest for a team to do if they want to go from .NET 4.7 to .NET Core? Are you referring to ASP.NET? If you're using MVC, you can get there. It's a little bit of a jump. There's some things you're going to have to refactor and use. .NET Core 2.0 and later should use a lot of your managed code directly. If you have stuff out in class libraries. You're going to have to do a little bit of compatibility checking. There is a compatibility checker that comes as an extension. Excuse me. An extension. Where is it? There is a compatibility... Oh, come on. Is it Portability Analyzer? Is that what it was called? Go away. I can't remember the name of it. .NET Portability Analyzer. Download this extension, run it against your project, and you can... In fact, I'll do that right now, so I can show you what this looks like, Battle Axiom. Hey, Super Tech Boy. It's not going to read that because I have a minimum threshold to read bits, but thanks so much for that. Some advertising bits for the cause. Absolutely, we'll match that and make a donation. It wants me to restart. I'll show you that in a minute. But you can run the Portability Analyzer against your project, and it'll output an Excel sheet with a report of everything that's portable with whatever versions of .NET you want to be able to convert back and forth through. So I would recommend taking a look at that. You are going to have to make some namespace changes in how you reference MVC, because it went from Microsoft.ASP.NET.MVC to Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC. So some of those things moved around, and if you're accessing objects directly on the request or response, those objects changed. You're going to need to reevaluate how you do that. I'm actually writing a course, writing my session for Ignite, talking about exactly that topic. So I'll have more for you in about a month and a half. If you pass null to a method, won't the method take the default? You know what, I kind of agree with you. It should have taken that default, but it was explicitly passing null, so no. If you didn't pass a parameter, it'll go to the default, but it explicitly passed in. But using MVC, you're going to be pretty close. If it would be feasible for us to do in a sprint, no. Depends on, and that depends on how big your project is, right? Maybe 2 sprints, maybe 3 sprints, depends. But I would not scope it to 1 sprint. I would suggest you could take an experiment and see how much you could convert in 1 sprint, and then evaluate how long it would take, how many man hours it would take to do that. Hey guys, do you know where Macedonia is? I'm going to answer that question for everybody. Notice I'm going to Bing. Notice I went to Bing. Macedonia, the San Francisco treat. No. There you go. Right near my friends. Where is it? It's right here. I've been there. There's Albania, Montenegro, Kosovo, Bosnia. I'm back out here. There it is. I was going to say, isn't that right next to my friends in Bulgaria? So I've spent some time in Sofia, Bulgaria. I was actually considering, there it is, Sofia. I was actually considering spending some time in Sofia for the DevReach event this fall. But it didn't line up with my schedule. What is the Rainbow Beard Challenge? And it looks like Maz answered that. Waterfall is better than Agile. Oh, Nuggety Nana, that's a problem. Don't go there. Is my Ignite course on that going to be a paid subscription? Nope. All of the Ignite sessions are available for free on YouTube after the fact, just like all the sessions from Build. They'll be on YouTube a day or 2 later, actually. All right. So this doesn't sort the way that I want it to. I'd like it to sort by when I'm doing latest changes, I'd like it to sort by the change date, by the publish date. So what I need to do is I need to figure out how am I coming in on that and sort it appropriately, because all it's doing, it's just doing the query, and it's not really doing latest changes, right? I feel like I need to put an if in here and have it do that search slightly differently. Awesome, I look forward to seeing that in a month. Cool. I thought you were referring to the rainbow beard there for a second, because I know Moz is looking forward to that. And, we're getting closer. That too. Shut up! Alright. I want to change this just slightly so it does those latest results. And that I load up the result properly. How do I undo that? I could look at the request. I could look at the route and see if it has latest changes on it. And I've already got a bit out here to introduce the page handler. Let's do that. So for now, I'm going to merge this. I think we're ready to go because we have it working. It's not perfect, but it's working. So let's add those changes. Oops. We didn't add everything. Merged and forced all DTOs to a uniform naming convention. Cool. And now I'm going to finish that pull request merge, and I'm pretty happy with what Ashley and Erwin have put together here. So let's get that pushed. Move this up on the screen. Fantastic. And we should see that this has been merged. There we go. Thanks so much for this code. We really appreciate it. All right. One down. Introduce the page handler for search page routing optimization. So now we have just a few conflicts here that we're going to need to resolve. Should we have the DTOs and the entity models in separate folders? I'd actually like to move entity models out different. What do we see here? I assumed you were an MVP, did not realize you worked at the mothership. I don't work at the mothership, actually. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm a remote worker, and I manage the MVP program. I was an MVP for 2 years in 2013 and 2014. Merged commented code. Not too bad. I've wanted to get an MVP, but never sure if I'm MVP enough for it, and it always seems a bit narcissistic to nominate myself. Go ahead and nominate yourself. Nominate yourself, drop me an email. Let me know. And we'll take a look. I would love to have more folks in the MVP program. So let's take a look at these conflicts here. This isn't going to be too bad. Merged commented code. Nominated myself to Windows Insider MVP. I don't, so I have influence on the Developer Technologies MVPs, not the Windows MVPs. So if that is something you're interested in, go ahead. How do you get MVP? Well, write some blog articles, share some open source code projects. That's a good question, Rickety Rocket. Let me answer that quickly. MVPs are folks that we recognize for their contributions to the technical community, their feedback to the Microsoft product teams, and even contributions now to Microsoft open source projects. So your community contributions can be blog posts, can be hosting streams like this one, not participating, but hosting. It can also be creating video tutorials, writing, producing YouTube videos that teach people how to build things with or use Microsoft products or other developer technologies, not just .NET, maybe Python, JavaScript. But the key is that there's some hook back into Microsoft. You're using Python. You're building Python with Visual Studio Code. You're working with TypeScript. Fantastic. But writing blog posts, writing books, those will get you consideration for an MVP. Building open source projects that affect Microsoft product communities, that'll get you consideration as well. Leading user groups, meetups, that's definitely a consideration. So, and speaking at events, absolutely. Speaking at events is very helpful, and the larger the attendance at the events, the greater the consideration. If you're giving a speech to 10 people at a coffee shop, that's nice. That's not most valuable. That's a great community contribution, but it's not most valuable. And you have to fill out the paperwork. If you don't fill out the paperwork, I mean, there's 1,000 developer technologies MVPs. We can't chase down people who don't fill out the paperwork. So even folks who want to win the Best Picture Oscar, you want to win that Academy Award for Picture of the Year, they have to fill out paperwork. They have to send in clips. They have to send the video to the folks that are reviewing it. There isn't a group at the Academy saying, "Hey, let's all go buy tickets and go out and watch Mission Impossible." No. For your consideration, here's our film that we'd like you to vote on. So, thanks for chiming in there, Caleb. That's our friend Glenn. But podcast, absolutely. Doing anything with Azure, certainly, for the Azure product, get you in there as well. Get you considered. Yes, paperwork. And it's actually not that much paperwork. You're probably already documenting some of these things for expense reports, for blog posts. Hey, I gave a speech at so-and-so, at Philly.net is my local user group. I gave a speech there last night. Okay. Put that into a line item on the MVP paperwork, and you're done. So, do you know if Microsoft will update the Angular template for .NET Core to Angular 6? Battle Axiom, I think we might have a subject matter expert for that in the chat room. So, Caleb, what do you think about... That's our friend Glenn. Glenn, what do you think about... Is he still here? Yeah, there he is. Don't remember if we're updating the Angular version, but updating Bootstrap and a bunch of stuff in the templates. I thought there might have been some work on that. It is open source, yes. They are taking pull requests. Waiting for Azure AKS to mature. Didn't realize that was out there already. What do you think about the statement that containers win the battle, serverless wins the war? Wampa, I can go either way. Serverless, I have concerns about because there's a lot of different standards right now, and serverless actually ends up being deployed in a container. So serverless, I think, is an implementation detail, and containers are the vehicle to make that work. And I think, yeah, Caleb's right there. You're going to want both for now. It's still very early in that. Containers have been around for a while, but serverless, we're early in the technology. Super Tech Boy says, lots of Microsofties in the room. I only see one off the top of my head here. Noise. Thanks. Now, Wampa, that was a very Philly thing to say, noise. Brazil is here. Well, welcome, Oron123. Maybe you'll just do it yourself. If you do it, you can send a pull request and the team might accept it. I might be an unusual example, but I MS Fluent design and would love to use some of it in web applications instead of something like Bootstrap, Google's material. Anyone know of any resources, frameworks to help with that? I do not. That's an interesting idea. And I wonder if we can get my friend Jerry Nixon to talk with us about that. That might be interesting. So let's fix these conflicts here and see if we can get that handler bit working. No, don't. So I actually, you've probably seen me talk about this. I like to do my merge conflict resolution in Visual Studio Code. I think it's a really nice interface to work on this. So I'm going to click on the Source Control tab here, and it's going to show me the merge issues right up here with a C next to it, indicating there's a conflict. So here's the first place where we have an issue, and it's where I commented out those bits around string is null or empty. And the change that came in here is the onGet for search is doing the string is null or empty, and it's going right into search async. Go away for now. And this isn't using the article summary DTO. So we're going to kind of need to merge both of these together. We're down here on latest changes async. It does that search, and it still doesn't do that order by. So this still doesn't feel quite right. I was a one-time moderator in community stand-ups. Oh, that's cool. Jerry's a nice guy. I worked with him a few times at local groups in Denver. Yes, he is. Very cool. If like me, you do not enjoy Vim, VS Code is a good alternative. Sublime is also fine if that is your text editor of choice. Yes. Oh, and we might have Angular 6 already merged into the templates. Look at that. Fantastic. And Steeple FFF, VS Code has super easy conflict solving solution. I agree. I completely agree with that. In fact, it's so good, it's
World exclusive.
a world exclusive. Here's what I want to do. So this I think we need to fix so it does a little bit of order by here, and it uses our article DTO. Because there's our article summary DTO there, and this isn't returning the article summary DTO. I think we can just copy this search result and use that. Let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, I think we can get rid of that. And this bit where we format the search result, let's take that and put it right there. Did oops. All right, hang on. This. Now this was just result. Now results per page. Ah, there we go. Good. All right. So for a search result, I think that works. That was before they changed from Hanselman YouTube to .NET Foundation YouTube. Ah. Now, the onGet latest changes, we need some sort of an order by in here to fix this. Let me come back to that. Let's go over to layout and see what the conflict is here, and then we'll go fix that bit up. So this is going to /latest changes and has the user admin. We want /search /latest changes. So I'm actually just going to, I'm going to accept the current and ditch this one. There we go. That does it. All right. So we'll add that one. Now let me go back to the search. So the search here for latest changes is saying, oh no, it is doing get latest articles. Oh, we're good there. All right. So let's add that. Merged changes. Good. Cool. Why isn't it showing? Oh, because I did the merge. Now let's do the bit here, do the thing. Fantastic. All right. Merged commit. No, it didn't do the check yet. I should see the check come through. Thanks for adding this. Much appreciated. All right. Close and comment. The repo is the same templates that go into the CLI and Visual Studio, for the web at least. Yes. Moving along. Added a search route so pagination link works correctly. This is from Aaron and Cincy. I think Aaron's still here in the chat room. Are you there, Aaron? Yes, there's Aaron. So Aaron fixed issue number 244. Pagination on the search results page is broken. Changed one file. I'm completely inexperienced with .NET Core Razor pages, so if there's a better way of fixing this, let me know and I can dig into it more. I don't think that's it. Because looking here, I think there was... I think you might be onto something with this. But the pagination links work correctly. Not sure about that one. Let me run the application and let's see what's going on there. And .NET run. Let's see what we got here. Tim the Enchanted is from Cincy also. All right. Seems like Jeff Holland have done some unit tests with .NET with Azure Functions this past week. Cool. We're looking at having Jeff Holland join us on the .NET Conf at the beginning of September. Cincy is taking over. No. 3 Cincinnatians in the room. Okay, Ohio may be taking over. Let's see. Search syntax error with a comma. I broke it. In the search CS. On line 34. What do we got here? Oh. No. Let me go back to full Visual Studio because I'm not seeing... Okay. Ah. Missing that. Right, so that'll give me my result. This is... We need that like that, right? Right? Don't need that. I think that fixes that. Oh no! And now we've got this one down here. Cannot implicitly convert So here we didn't convert back to the article summary DTO. So search result is new search result. This should be article summary DTO. Like that. And the results... I'm going to do this same exact thing right here. And I'm going to put var results equals, and we'll drop that right there. And this will be that. And I think we're in good shape. There we go. Oh boy. From article in results. Yeah, much better. Oh, what do we got here? Why do I not use VS 2017? I bounce back and forth, Eladrix. I use whatever makes me happy. Visual Studio Code works nice for some things. And Visual Studio 2017 works better for some other. Marquee isn't... Oh no, where'd the marquee go? You're right. What happened there? There we go. All right, we should see some of our friends' names appear there. That's weird. All right. Where was I? I was somewhere. .NET run. So all of these error message things coming up here, just kind of annoying. Shelter Dweller, thanks so much for the hosting. Appreciated that. This is Visual Studio 2017 public preview. Yes. All right, let me come back over here. Localhost 8081. That needs to be an HTTPS. There we go. Latest changes, and it is properly ordering. Now the question was around search and getting the pagination working properly. So if I search for second, that works, and it's hiding my pagination right now. So I'm going to decline this. This is working currently. Thanks for looking into it. All right. Moving along. Paginator config from Aaron. Fixes 167. 167 is the pager configuration feature that we discussed back in June. The pager tag helper should be able to take attributes that determine whether to show the previous, first page, last page, or next page buttons. And Aaron, yesterday, taking a stab at this, first thought was to have attributes for navigation button visibility, always, never, auto, navigation buttons, all, none, only next and previous, only first and last. Never would have the same effect as navigation buttons, neither, showing only in the individual page number buttons. Navigation button visibility auto would hide the buttons when they aren't clickable. Navigation button visibility equals always would be the current behavior, showing the disabled buttons when they aren't clickable. All would be the current behavior, showing first, previous, next, and last. Only next and previous, do what you expect them. And it looks like... Can't figure out why my white space is causing differences. White space. Yeah. If you want to take the configuration in a different direction, I'm happy to make updates. Well, let's see what Aaron has for us. Navigation button visibility, always. Navigation buttons, all. URL params. Okay, current page, total pages. Fideka, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. Search for something that will show 10 plus results and try paging. Well, I don't have 10 plus articles yet. Third article. Here's more content. Now, where did my content go? I think we've got a problem. Because it's not saving my content. I think we found a bug. I think we found a bug. In the create page, it's not... Go away. It's not saving my content. Wait a tick. Wait a tick. Create. So we're receiving, where is it? On the post. Where's our article object? Not you. There it is. We're receiving an article create DTO. The content is not being saved. It's not being copied in. Look at that. Article topic, slug, author ID. The article content. It wasn't being copied in. Vinlam, thanks so much for the follow. Oh man, we're closing in on 3,100. So, Twitch should have about a 3 to 5 second delay. So it shouldn't be too bad. That's where the routing is screwed up, is when you get out there a little bit further. All right, we'll take... Build errors. No. Where else do we have a build error? Because I have it already running over here. Try that again. 7-second delay. It shouldn't be that long, but it might be out there. All right, so there's the home page. So if I go to latest changes, right, if I look at third article, I also want to look at that edit page. Make sure that edit didn't make the same mistake. There. Content equals content. So that wait a sec. There it is, receiving. Yeah, it received the content in the edit. So if I log in all right, latest changes, second page. This is the second page. Narf. Save. There it is. Now we've got our content back. Well, that was on edit. Edit was working. Let's try new article. Fourth article. This is yet another article. Woot. That works. Another article. More content. Fifth. This is more content. I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying creating articles. Sixth article. Six. Oh, excuse me. We like content. More narf. ASP.NET is the bomb. Diggity. 'Tis true. Which article number is this? I forget. Coolio, not just a rapper. Planet Victoria, thanks so much for the follow. So there's latest changes, 10 results so far. I think we need one more. Is this 11? Or is it just fantasy? Born in a landslide. So escape from reality. Look at that. I love how it's already doing the interesting. It's showing that there's a spelling issue, but I can't fix it. Anyways. Now let's try latest changes. And it's only showing me the latest 10. If I do a search, right, I did a search and didn't give it anything, so it's not working. I'll search for A. 10 results found. Another article. Really? Here's another one. I'm aging myself. No, I'm not. I am not. All right, search for A. Now I've got the pager. And if I try the page... So it's still on page 1, and it didn't go to page 2. Even though page number equals 2, it didn't highlight 2. And it won't let me go back either. So the pager needs a little bit of help, and let's see what... I'm just going to alt-tab around here and get lost. Here we go. So the paging configuration... You're setting whether they're clickable. So we have enough content now that we can actually just pull this in and test it. So I think we should just do that. So I am going to get the command line instructions here. Let's bring it in. I'm going to stop this. Yeah. What do we have? Git commit fixed search page. I should probably... Yeah, that's fine. Let's do a git pull to start. That's fine. Not gut push. Git push. And now let's merge Aaron's changes. Cool. Let's see how they work. That's not what was broken before. No, it's more broken now. Let's see what we get. Alright, it's running. Okay, if I go to latest changes, fine. I'm going to do a search. And the pager looks the same. Now, if we look at the actual pager object that you modified, which was in pager tag helper CS. So we'll go back over there. Pager tag helper CS. So the features that you enabled, where are they? Are first and last pages visible. Navigation buttons. There we are. And you've set it up with a nice enumerator that we can wire up to, and we should be able to manage that nicely. So, pretty cool. I like it. I left it at the current behavior by default in search. Yeah. Alright. Latest only shows 10 with no paging. Yup. Alright. So so I'm going to merge this change because it looks pretty good. I like being able to configure that. So I'm just going to confirm and run the squash. What? Try again. Do it. Do it now. Cool. Thanks for the update. This is a great feature. It is. I'm happy with that. I think we need to figure out why the pager isn't properly paging, letting me page back. It shouldn't be too hard. I think that's a bug. But this is fixing 167. So I'm going to jump over to 167. It is properly closed. Good. All right. Allows a logged in user to see what their current role is. And then make user admin only available to administrators. This one looks pretty straightforward. 8 files changed. What did you change? User admin nav link only shown to authenticated users when they also have the administrator's role manager. On admin can no longer assign or remove roles to themselves. Well, that's a problem. An admin should be able to assign roles to themselves. On startup, check if administrator roles exists. If not, created. Check if any users currently have administrator's role. If not, create a default administrator account. Aha! I like that. Added warning to layout to if default admin account is found. Interesting. Interesting. Let me see what you got here. Seed default admin user. Taking a user manager and a role manager. How to write a git commit message. Nice. Why would you want to let the logged in user be able to add roles to themselves? If they're an administrator, yes. If they're not, no. Default admin user, role, username, password. Okay. That's not bad. Does the admin role exist? Makes sense. Created if it doesn't. Same thing with the user. There it is. And add that to, okay, authorization policy. Require the user to be logged in and have the administrator role. Okay. Require logged in user. Require user with either role. And be in one or more of it. Yeah, require any role. I see what you did there. You kind of chained together my definition of these policies. That's fine. Identity hosting startup. Identity role. Add default UI. Add default token providers. Okay. Policy constants. Can manage roles. Yes. So can manage roles. Requires administrator. Cool. All right. Find by email admin core wiki does not equal null. So if that exists, you're going to put a div at the top that says you have the default administrator account enabled. We don't have a way to delete a user yet. So that might be I don't have a problem with that, but it's going to linger until we can delete it. Having that default admin may be a security issue later should have a way to turn off the seed. So the seed checks to see if any users are in admin. So as soon as you create that second administrator user, it won't seed the administrator role. So that's actually not bad. I kind of like it. Let's see what the conflict is here. So it's the search latest changes bits in here. So let's put that on. And then I can remove the second one. And I think we're good. Awesome. There we go. And we can squash and merge. This is great. Solves a bit of our user seeding issue as well. Cool. Allow logged in user to see what their current role is. Modified 5. My roles is my roles. And you just put a page out there that shows here's the roles that you belong to. All right. That's cool too. Thanks so much for the feature. And I'm going to run a pull request, run a get. Let's see, get, check out this, get pull. And let's take a spin through some of this. Happy to implement the remove user role. Well, it's not just remove user role, but it's also remove user. All right, so this is running. So there, I can't get to user admin now. Good. I'm going to log in with my super user account, the man, who has access to user admin. If I click into this, roles and permissions with a little 3 next to it. That's kind of cool. You have 3 roles permissions. Nice. I like it. And it even, all right, not terrible, but, so that was in the my roles page. Let's just create a quick issue for that. That looks like a little CSS fix. And I don't know which one it's going to be. My roles doesn't look right in other themes. In dark theme, the My Roles page needs some help. That's fine. And I'm going to mark that as bug. It's a good first issue. Anybody's welcome to take a look at it. Fantastic. I think we did a lot today. I think we've really put some really cool things in here. The DTOs are certainly really cool to see how that works. Gosh, I haven't looked at the chat room here for a few minutes. Why would you want to let the logged in user to be able to add roles to themselves? Right, if they're an admin, you need to be able to you're going to want them to be able to add roles to themselves and to other people. It was more so they can't accidentally add or remove a role they require. Happy to implement remove. Tim the Enchanted, do we ever really delete anything for archiving purposes? Just slap a active field, a Boolean active field on that bad boy. And right now we're using SQLite, but we want to be able to swap in different providers later. You can use MySQL with it. But can I create an issue for the broken pagination? Sure. Yeah. Paginator does not react properly on non-page 1. After clicking to the second page, the pager, doesn't update properly. And this is not paginator, it's pager. That's a bug. It's a good first issue, and help wanted folks can certainly take a shot at that. Able to swap, then you make separate from user interface. Yes. Calum says, we've talked about adding DTOs to the default templates, but we thought it was too much code in your face at the very beginning. So I heard that discussion, and we were actually in a team discussion about this a few days ago. And I would argue that there are DTOs actually in the default templates. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Because I think they're already there. They've already made it. They're already cool like that. Follow me, if you will. I'm going to go over to our other project we've been looking at recently, and that was our Twitter Friends project. And if I go into the website for this, check this out. If we look at now, I've already brought in some of the different pages for this. But if we look at like login, yeah, sure, go ahead and do that later. Go away. So here's the login page. Check this out, right there. You have an input model. Where's the input model live? It's a private class inside the page model class. So we're not calling it a DTO, but this view model that's being passed back and forth feels DTO-ish. So, I mean, it's already kind of there. In Razor pages and some of the account refactoring, they are basically there. Yeah. So, and it's a great practice. I love the way that this is in here, and it really, to a bit of how Jimmy Bogart does things with his Mediator framework, this gets us to that point where only the stuff that this page is concerned about is here in the page model. So I think this is a pretty cool practice and something that we've learned from. And when we look at CoreWiki, we have those objects over in our data project under models. Wait a sec. They've got the wrong file name. We fixed this. We changed those names. Not liking it. Not liking it because
But what I do have
I do have.
are a very particular set of skills.
They are
Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
very long. I'm that old. You can see it in my beard. Oh my gosh, we are one follower from 3,100. One follower. One. Somebody go get their cat and tell them to make a Twitch account and follow us. That's pretty cool. So I like the DTO approaches we have for sending stuff back and forth from the web pages. What I the concern I have, the cat's sleeping. Oh man. One of the biggest frustrations you have about Visual Studio is the difficulty renaming file folder names when the change is just capitalization. I kind of agree with you, Roastern, and I wonder how much of that is legacy from Windows. You know? All right. Here's what I want to do. I'm looking at the DTO objects that are really being used for passing back and forth through the website. They're not used in another project anywhere, and I feel like these should be perhaps in a models folder inside of Core Wiki, or even as we saw over here in the default login page, as a private class inside the page that they're being used on. What do you think, Glenn? Do you think that's pretty good? I need to find, where's that clip from Saturday Night Live where they had the faux Sean Spicer calling everybody Glenn? Yeah, I do. I like the idea. Chat room, what do you think? We had that very long discussion about spelling of DTO, capitalization of DTO. There is something to the single responsibility principle and having these things in separate files. I can understand that. Program CS and Startup CS. So everyone in Gothenburg is named Glenn. Configuring your application, you change them for the same reasons. Referring to program and startup. So right here's the startup file. I actually like the idea of moving these things that happen here in configure services, moving that pipeline out because it gets crazy big. Same thing here with configure. I want one-line items in here so that it's crystal clear to me exactly what's happening here, because this gets long quick. And I thought our friend Iris Klassen lived in Gothenburg. But have it in the same file as program. So program is almost too simple at this point. Main can be a single line. Yep. So you end up with 2 lines. So why have this? I mean, you can literally short circuit. Right? Create web host builder is this. And I could just do .build.run. Right, and now it's doing the exact same thing. So, yeah. If this is the first line in the startup file, kind of makes sense. But when you do need to do something more complex, meh. So, what tooling is wired up to it? Anyways. So I think that's where we're going to drop off today. I think we've done a lot. We've accomplished a lot. We agreed, and we merged a ton of pull requests here. We got 6 of them merged, including this big one where we're now using DTOs back and forth to the browser and our Razor pages. I think there's still some refactoring we can do there to move those into our web project, because that's the only place they're being used. And it's not something we're going to reuse in other places. It still doesn't completely solve the true data transfer that I want to do to eliminate those entity framework record types from sneaking into our web project. I think maybe we work on that on Tuesday. Getting that. Some of your startup code paths. Yeah. Adding EF migrations might execute some of them. True. They do. All right. So let's wrap it up here. So we got those DTO objects merged. So now we have a DTO that'll go back and forth from the browser. We now have a bunch of fixes in to help with our security model so that our user admin page is getting a little bit more cleaned up and is a little bit easier to manage. And I think Chris has done a great job pulling that together and making it something interesting. Tim says, first-time viewer, definitely love the stream. We'll be back since I primarily work with ASP.NET, yet I have a lot to learn. Fantastic, Tim. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back on Tuesday, and I want to focus on trying to abstract away our entity framework model a little bit further so that we have more robust entities that we're receiving from our repositories, and we're doing less passing around of entity framework objects so that we can start thinking about removing entity framework and bringing in Cosmos DB or MongoDB or some other database storage and use that instead, depending on our needs. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to take a quick peek. I believe our friends, we have a couple of other friends out there programming today. Let's see here. Who is this? Palada. Who is Palada writing some code today on the creative? On, what is this? Don't know what that is, but has 200 folks following over there. Oh my gosh. 200 folks viewing. 18,000 followers on Pilata? Doesn't say what he's programming. Interesting. I'm just looking to see who else we have over here. If there's somebody we want to support. And I thought our friend Dev Chatter would be starting here. And I don't see it. Eat, sleep, commit, repeat. Let me start up that Mario music here real quick. Coding session. And there's nothing there. Pilata maintains a Twitch moderation bot. Oh, really? All right. All right, so let's raid Pilata. Fantastic. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. And I'll see you on Tuesday. We'll get back to it, doing a little more refactoring. And as always, we'll have some fun over there refactoring. And we'll try and... We're not removing Entity Framework, but we're going to reduce our references to it. And I think that'll be a lot of fun to get through. Take care. I'll see you next time.